Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, The Lowdown. It's been a while. It's been a minute since I've done anything on the channel. It's been a hot summer, been playing a little bit of golf, just working a lot, doing some other things. Tournaments, slack off around here during the summer pretty much and pick back up in the fall. Now we're getting into middle of September, football season's picked up, and there's just a lot of things going on. So we'll pick up the fishing here again leading into the late fall and do some stuff in the winter time. The lakes around here are usually pretty good in the winter, and then again leading into the spring when the new tournament season gets going. Looking forward to that. But today's purpose, I don't do a lot of product reviews, but we've got one today that I really want to share with everybody. I was with Snag Proof for a long time, many years, and that the family, Connie, gosh, she is such a the salt of the earth. What a sweet lady, and a great business person. And her family, her granddad started that business, Snag Proof, way back in the day. Pouring the plastics over the kitchen oven, and just making them kind of one at a time. And the frog thing kind of developed over the years, and nobody really heard about it or really took notice of it until Dean Rojas and the Lake Wiley Classic got on them with the Bosu frog. Now, that just kind of lit it up, and that's where really I came into it. I had fished with frogs before, but I really never got excited about it until I saw that type of frog, that hollow body frog with the skirt on the back and the way you could work it and just elicit those really good, hard, vicious strikes. That got me fired up. And then I met Bobby Perect, and Bobby turned me on to the Snag Proof frog, the Bobby's Perect Frog. And then the frog line kind of developed a little bit from there with the fat frog and the Wobbletron. Whoa, the Wobbletron, one of my favorites. I can't wait till it gets redeveloped. But to make a long story short, Snag Proof changed ownership a few times. Miss Connie stayed with it for a little bit, kind of heading up the field staff and having her hands in it. And then finally it just got bought by a bigger company, Baitworks. And they've got the huge pro staff, and they've put a lot of money into the frog line, and they've come up with the redevelopment of Bobby's Perect Frog, along with Bobby Perect, to come out with a new product. So if you're familiar with the old Bobby's Perect Frog, I'm going to go step by step and tell you why this one's a little bit different. If you remember the old Bobby's Perect Frog or the old Snag Proof frogs, the plastics could sometimes be fairly inconsistent. Some would be hard, some would be super soft. They had a lead weight in the back for the weighting of the frog, which was just kind of placed in there with some glue, and it would pop out all the time. They had a great hook in it. They had a Gamakatsu hook that was just developed for the frog, and it worked really, really well. And then the paint jobs, a lot of people were kind of put off by the paint jobs. That didn't bother me any. They worked very well, and I caught tons and tons of fish on them. But in today's age, you got to have a little bit of a sexiness to the frog, or to your bait in general, for it to really take off. And American Baitworks have supplied that. So along with Bobby Perect, they've redeveloped the frog. And if I just go over it real quickly here, step by step, we'll start with the line tie. The old frog just had a regular line tie in it that was just kind of closed. It wasn't welded shut. So unless you were paying attention to it, if that thing had a little separation in it, with today's lines, these braided lines, even a 65-pound braid, if it got in the wrong spot and you got some tension on it, it could pull through that little crease in the line tie. Well, now they have a welded eye. It is shut completely, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. They've got a different hook in it. I don't know if this is a Mustad hook. I'm not quite sure. I probably need to research that a little bit. It's not the old Gamakatsu hook, but it's more of a round bend. And I like it better. The reason I always tweaked my hooks when it was the Gamakatsu hook, because they had the extra wide gap and it was really flat on top. And the flatness on top really helped it sit on top of the frog, the hook sit on top of the frog, so it made it very weedless. But on the hook sets, a lot of times that flat hook, it didn't have upward penetration. So it would get the roof of the mouth, kind of skin hook the roof of the mouth. I would have fish on, could visibly see that the frog was down in their mouth. You couldn't even see it, and I felt like, oh, I got them hooked up. They're buttoned up. I don't have to worry about forcing this fish into the boat, and then it just magically pull out. And it's because they would get skin hooked and there's only so much bite right there, and as you're pulling just against that flatness of that hook, it would come out. And so, you know, I ended up tweaking my hooks, giving them a little bend up, twisting them out just a little bit, so I could get a little bit better penetration, and that worked really well. The hookup ratio with the Bobby's Perect Frog, especially in aquatic vegetation, was really good for me. The way I had my frogs set up, they worked really well. But this hook kind of takes care of that. As you can see, it's a big round hook, and it's got a lot of bite in it. Compress that body, you can see how much bite is in that hook. That's a lot of bite, and they're super sharp. The hook is not an issue. It's a great hook. Now, one thing with the Bobby's Perect Frog that I've always liked, and it's a little different from all the other frogs out there, they all have bodies that just don't taper down in the back. So the entire back end of the frog is just full of plastic, and I really thought that got in the way of hook sets. And one of the things that I loved about the Bobby's Frog is that it tapers off in the back from the top and the sides. That gives this hook a lot of room to work. So what keeps this thing weedless is the body or the shape of the frog, which is the exact same shape they had before. You can see the little rise or a little hump in the back. You got a little hump right there over the head of the eyes. It dips down, then it comes up to a little hump in the back. That's where the hook meets. That's what keeps it weedless. It gives it a lot of room once you compress. It used, you know, with the other frogs, and y'all use the Ish Fat Frog as an example. That's one of the things I didn't like about it. Even though I liked the frog because it skips so well up under cover, it was too much plastic in the back. So even if you compressed it or pushed the frog back any at all, it had a tendency to get in the way of the hooks at times. Not this frog right here. The Bobby's Perect Frog has always been, in my opinion, one of the best hookup ratios of any frog, and they've retained, in the new frog, they've retained that body shape, which is absolutely marvelous. That is beautiful. The skirt is the same. You know, nobody gives it credit, but Snag Proof and the Bobby's Perect Frog were the first to add the skirt type legs and have them come out to the back of the hook. You remember the old frogs had the solid legs on it. Snag Proof was the first with the skirt. They have a new water, I guess you call it a water it's not an excavation, but it blows the water out of the frog. The old frogs had a technology called ITT, inner tube technology, which was a tube that the hook shaft ran through, and it went all the way to the eye. So any water that got into the tube would just stay in and out of the tube. It really wouldn't get into the body of the frog. Well, they've incorporated the new technology to where there's a hole in the back, and I can put this frog in the water and slosh it around and fill it up with water, and I don't have to squeeze the water out on the cast. The inertia of the cast will force the water right out of the back of that hole, and you don't have to do any squeezing on this frog. So this frog, any water that gets in, is coming right out on your next cast. So everything works really well. The paint jobs, obviously, as I mentioned before, Snag Proof had a pretty plain series of paint jobs, but these are state of the art and right up there with the best of the best. The Spros of the world, and and the competitors have really forced everybody to step up their game on paint jobs to match bullfrogs or brim or shad colors or whatever they might be trying to mimic. But Snag Proof and American Baitworks has followed suit with the Bobby's Perect Frog, and they have outstanding paint jobs. Just get on any of your favorite tackle site that's carrying the bait, and you'll see a number of colors that are just perfect. You won't be disappointed in the color selection. So all in all, this frog works really well. And there's a fish that just blew up right beside me while I'm sitting here talking about the frog. And I'm going to throw it out there and try to catch a fish for you. Don't know, I hadn't been out here in quite a while, so really don't know what to expect. But my first few casts with the frog, they cast extremely well, just like it always has. It's got plenty of weight to it. I'm throwing it on a medium heavy with a 65-pound braid and a high-speed Abu Garcia reel, so it throws very well. And the hook or the weight that they have in theirs, like I mentioned before, the old ones had that piece of lead that was just sitting there. This is like a welded in or molded in. The weight is molded into the back of the bait. It just looks like part of the bait. You really don't even notice that it's there. So everything, all the I's have been dotted, all the T's have been crossed. This new frog from American Baitworks, the Bobby's Perect Frog, looks to be a super duper winner. The first couple of casts that I made with it, just working it around, its profile in the water, it sits very well. It's not real tail heavy, and it's not super flat on top. It has a great profile, and it's got the the same old beautiful walk. It's easy to walk back and forth, and it's got just a little bit of head bobble as you're walking it. So if you walk it and stop it, it'll sit there and just kind of shake a little bit as it kind of settles out. So everything's really good about this frog. Looking forward to throwing it around here a little bit and see if we can get a bite or two off this vegetation. So that's all I got to say about it at the moment. Now let's see what it does. Yeah, I don't know if y'all can see that. I mean, this frog really has a sharp side-to-side walk action. Not having to work at it at all. I don't do all that nonsense of trimming one skirt side really short so one side will weigh heavier than another. Don't do that. That's all a bunch of BS, and I don't know who started it, but anybody that needs to do that just needs to get out there and practice with their frog a little bit more. I've never had to cut the skirt to be able to walk the frog. What I really can't wait for is when they come out with this frog in the Wobbletron version. For all the people out there that have not fished, that love the frog fish and haven't fished the Wobbletron, that thing was absolutely money. I mean, it was a great search bait, and in lily pads, aquatic vegetation, around wood and other cover, man, that thing was money. They don't make them anymore, at the moment anyway. And so if you see any at a tackle shop somewhere, or online on eBay or anywhere like that, if somebody's not asking an arm and a leg for it, it's got a reasonable price tag, I suggest picking that thing up. I've been asked a number of times over the years. I've done a lot of clinics and seminars on frog fishing, and everybody wants to know how you work it. How do you work the frog? What's the best way? Well, there is really no best way. They all work. You just have to kind of find a cadence and a tempo that the fish will react to that day. And they're always different. That's one reason the Wobbletron, again, going back to the Wobbletron was such an important part of the lineup, is because a lot of times they didn't want the frog moving and stopping. They wanted it moving, and I mean moving. With something kicking up behind it like a buzz bait or a buzz toad. But what made the Wobbletron so special, unlike a buzz toad, when you stop that plastic buzz toad, it's going to sink. The Wobbletron sits right there just like a normal frog, and you can give it a couple of side-to-side shots, or gurgle it, or whatever you want to do to it, and then pick that pace back up. It's so versatile. I cannot wait. If I had a proxy vote with American Baitworks of what bait to put out next, it would be the Wobbletron. Bring it out. So, if American Baitworks is listening and watching this video, Wobbletron 2022, don't screw around, get it out there, make it right, it's going to sell a lot. boys and girls, if there was any doubt about what this new American Baitworks Bobby's Perect Frog, the former Snag Proof Bobby's Perect Frog, can do, there you go. This is the first time out, first time I've tied it on. Nice fat 3-pounder. Got it down there deep. Look at that. Ate it good. Hooked up solid. Let's see how tough this is going to be to get out of here. Oh my goodness, he got it good. I see it now. I see it now. Come here. Let's get pliers on that. I see it. Just got to get it. There we go. There we go. That, you know, if I'm think back to the old Siskel and Ebert, and they gave it the movie reviews, and they had 2 thumbs up. Well, I'm going to put this on the lowdown at product review. This is, we're going to call it 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Hooks. This is 5 hooks up. Bobby's Perect Frog. Everything about it, from the line tie to the paint job to the consistency of the plastic in the body, it's just perfect. The skirts, the colors, the new hook that they've got, everything about it sits great in the water, works perfectly on the action, and you saw it right there. Nice big hookup, solid 3-pounder, maybe even an ounce or 2 more, but that's a beautiful fish. I'll take 5 of those and just about every tournament I go to, and then we'll just kind of work it out from there. But 5 hooks up, American Baitworks, Bobby's Perect Frog. They're out now. Or go straight to the site, American Baitworks, or Tackle Warehouse, or Omnia Fishing, or any of your favorite sites. They should have it. And if they don't have it, tell them to get it. And hope you guys catch some fish on those things. Great frog.